Alright guys, welcome to the show. About 50 minutes ago, one of our Discord members requested I do some sort of a video because he hasn't seen my face on the shows for a very long time. Obviously, he's heard my voice when I've done some analysis and whatnot, but I've never put my face down. But that's because I've just been really busy. Haven't had the time to sit down and make something with my actual face on it. So here I am, okay, just for you. Now, another member asked, like, kind of gave me a topic because I said, look, there's really nothing to talk about because I've pretty much said what I needed to say. And until that comes true, there's no point in me pumping out another video and hyping the market up because that's what it is, right? It's just people kind of tend to hype things, this and that, right? Now, the brother asked me something quite interesting. If anyone's on Discord, you can actually read what he wrote. I'm going to rephrase it a little bit because obviously we're making a public video here and I don't really want it to sound in, a bad or anything like this, right? So let's make this sound much more nicer, right? So the question that was asked, I'm going to rephrase it, was more like what would happen if the dollar collapsed or if the dollar disappeared altogether, right? That's what I'm going to say. So I'm just going to leave it that way. Of course, the original question or the topic you can actually see in Discord, right? Now, before I start with whatever I'm about to say, because this is quite important, right? I need to give you a whole bunch of disclaimers. First of all, anything you hear right now, or watch or see, whatever. Obviously, I'm not going to have any gimmicks because I'm not using no green screen and none of that business here. I'm just recording on my phone on my way home, and I've just literally parked up just to make this video, right? Anything you're about to hear in this video is not financial advice, so do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. All the things I'm going to say right now regarding this particular question about the dollar collapse or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to tell you this, like, it's not really my opinion, but it's more of a theoretical opinion, right? So it's a theory. I'm just going to throw a bunch of theory there. What's going to destabilize dollar, right? What's it going to take to destabilize dollar, right? So this is just my opinion, like kind of my theoretical opinion. That's the best way to say it. It's not really my opinion because this is what I think could happen, or this is what I think is the problem that could create such a situation where it could destabilize the dollar. Now, if anyone's looking for dollar to actually vanish, then I hope and I pray that you have an alternative, right? Now, obviously, alternatives, a lot of people are swinging towards the Chinese yuan, maybe the Russian ruble, who knows? Could be anything, could be the British pounds, right? Who wouldn't love to see the British pound back on the top again, right? Before the dollar became a central thing. Now, let's start with the show. So for dollar to be destabilized, you really don't have to do anything, right? Nobody has to do anything. It's already happening. Dollar has been destabilizing for a very long time. And most of that reason is because of the funding that they've been doing for the war machine, right? You've had what's his name? There was a couple of presidents, right? They talked about it. You had Kennedy, he talked about it. There was another guy, what was his name? Just before he left office, he also talked about it as well. Of course, you can Google it. Names aren't coming to me right now. But the point is these guys were talking about this military complex, this industrial complex that they were talking about. Now, what they meant by that was, and this is just the theoretical thing, right? They're talking about this industrial military complex. Now, if we just focus on industrial, now, what does industrial really refer to? Commercialization, right? That's what it refers to. When you have something that's an industry, right? It's a business, right? So that's what it's referring to. So this industrial military complex. So this is this money-making machine or this money-eating machine, right? Whichever way you phrase it, doesn't really matter. Point is as long as this military machine exists, money will always be required, right? To fund it. So as the dollar obviously the militaries around the world or globe, whatever, doesn't matter what they trade in, the oils, commodities, whatnot, right? It's always based in USD until recently, where the BRICS came in and they're doing it slightly different, right? Recently, Russia was selling oil to India and India was paying in rupees, and then recently Russia's turned around and said, well, we don't want your rupees, we want Chinese yuan, right? So they didn't even ask for their ruble, they're saying Chinese yuan. Maybe there's something there. We don't know. Maybe that's a sign that the dollar's about to collapse. Maybe. We don't know. And we get to the point, what happens when the dollar collapses, right? Obviously, I talked about having an alternative, but I'll still talk about a little bit about that. Now, the machine is well oiled, right? It's well greased, well oiled. This industrial military complex, right? It needs money. So obviously the US government keeps on printing money, right? You've got the Federal Reserve, printers on 24/7. Whenever they need funds, they'll have it. So they have this money coming in. So all of this money is coming into the market, right? It's literally collapsing itself. Dollar is collapsing, right? Because you need to fund this war machine, right? Constantly. You need war. You need war because that's how you maintain control. You maintain control and you do this. So again, understand where I'm coming from, right? So this is not me being geopolitical. I don't want to be geopolitical. I stay away from all of this stuff, right? Politics is poison, right? That's pretty much simple as that, right? Politics is poison. There's a red pill and there's a blue pill. Politics is a red pill. Stay away from that, right? I would like to say it's not, but it is, right? That's politics. So we want to stay away from politics, but again, just dropping this kind of theoretical thing there. So USA itself is doing a great job of destroying its own currency with its war machine. It needs war, right? So this is already happening, right? Obviously, other things are like, when you talk about investments, now those are minor. Like people talk about how money is created from nowhere for a mortgage or whatnot. That's true, but that doesn't really affect it that much. They don't need trillions and trillions of dollars, right? Officially, you'll see billions of dollars being pumped into the defense because it's all under the name of defense. But defense really means, an excuse to print more money. It's not like they're taxing the people of the country to take money and then do X, Y, Z. That's not it. The taxation, that's being used for something else. That's being used to run the governments. And by the way, there's no poor government employee, right? They're all rich, right? Think about that. But we leave all of that aside because we don't want to go into conspiracies here, too much conspiracies. But if we leave all of that aside, it's the war machine, right? Understand where it is. It's the war machine. It's not the oil. It's not the commodities. It's none of that business. It's the war machine. The war machine, as long as that exists, the dollar will collapse. Now, for the dollar not to collapse, they need to come to some sort of a solution. This global giant superpower, right? They need to come to some sort of a solution where they don't need the military or anything like this. We need global peace. Now, the global peace could be attained in two different ways, right? One, you go all in, print as much money as you can, expand your global war machine and take over every other country, until there's no other countries to fight. Then you have global peace, right? Or everybody comes together, gets rid of all of their weapons or whatnot, all these war machines that they have, instead invest in like yachts and whatnot and life and pleasure and enjoyment. And then we have peace, right? So either way, the solution for the dollar not to collapse or any currency of any country not to collapse is literally peace. Now there's a third option, and the third option is the one that worries me the most. The third option worries me the most. The third option is the governments around the world know that money, the way the current money is being made or produced, is not sustainable. It has 100-year lifespan, maybe 150 years by luck, right? But it has 100-year lifespan. Now in the crypto community, a lot of the people talk about how Bitcoin will become the new global reserve currency. I don't think so. I don't think so, right? It will be something, but it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin is divisible. You can divide it to a Satoshi, and you can divide Satoshis to God knows what million Satoshis, and then those ones you can do that. Yes, all of that is possible. But if Satoshi originally, when he created the Bitcoin, he did a particular mathematics, and he said, let's base each one of these and divide it by the number of currency that already exists, the dollars that already exist, then today we would have had Bitcoin worth $1 million, maybe even $1 billion a coin. We don't have that. So let's come to reality. That wasn't part of Satoshi's plan. It's an alternative currency. Let's keep it that way. We're not going to talk about this being a reserve currency, right? But there is going to be some form of a currency, whether they call it a digital USD or USD or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Pound, sterling, doesn't really make a difference. It will be currency. It will be credits. Everyone is going to move onto a credit system. I mean, we're already on a credit system, right? Every single banknote, like in England, we have a banknote, right? That says, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of £5, £10, £20, £50, right? So it's already a promissory note, right? Same is applied to all the other countries, because that's what it is. Money is not backed by anything. So you are promised to pay the bearer the sum of whatever. So in the future, I think, the third option, they already know that it's going to collapse. And I think they're in the middle of creating a credit system, right? Now, we have heard of this credit system, and that's kind of going to be the replacement. They're talking about the universal basic income, right? Where everybody's going to get a basic salary to do whatever. That's because there's a lot of guys out there, these future theorists, who's been thinking about how in the future AI and technology and whatnot is going to take over a lot of human jobs, which is already happening, right? You can run a company with 100,000 employees, but the company is actually operated by AI. Right? A good example, Uber. Uber's a software. Uber doesn't require anyone to actually press buttons and dispatch jobs. It doesn't require anyone. It is completely self-sufficient and automated. The only time you need human interaction is for customer service. With good AI technology right now and the way it's progressing, soon we won't even need that. We will be dealing with computers and bots and AIs. So because of that, they're going to have this universal credit currency. Now, credit system, we've seen China, for example, they have a social credit system where you don't behave, you get penalized, and you behave, you get rewarded, right? So similar kind of way, I think they're going to be doing something like this as well. So the dollar, they're doing a great job, as I said. Like the war machine, as long as the war machine exists, it will collapse. It's meant to collapse. It's supposed to collapse. It's already been planned to collapse. A replacement has already started and they're already working on it, right? Like universal basic income, they've been doing it for like 20 years now, testing it out in multiple countries, right, around Europe and XYZ, right? We've looked at how the dollar was meant to be replaced by the euro dollar, right? Which is there. Euro is a very new coin. A lot of people don't understand. It could be the euro that takes over. We don't know yet, right? But we don't want to speculate. We don't want to say it could be this, it could be that. Ultimately, it could be anything. But we do understand that, and we need to understand, right? We need to understand that whatever the case is, every currency that we've had so far, they've only lasted 100 years. So the dollar is also due to disappear very soon. And when it does, it's going to be replaced by something far more controllable, manageable, and global. Because it has to be global. If it's not global, it doesn't work, right? So, yeah, I mean, the way I see it is, look, global peace is required. If that means one world order, the hell with it, right? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go for a new world order and have this thing, right? But ultimately, money will be replaced by some sort of a credit system, which everybody's going to be sharing the same credit system around the world. And I think there's not really going to be much of a difference between any countries. Now you have these currency differences. I don't think we're going to have those. It's just a matter of, like, where they say third world countries, second world countries, and first world countries. It's a matter of everybody catching up. And I think a lot of the big third world countries are definitely catching up. They're catching up in a lot of ways, right? And it's just a matter of now just pricing things in that particular way. For example, if you go to India and you buy a packet of Kellogg's cornflakes, right? And I'm not advertising Kellogg's here, but the point is, you buy a packet of Kellogg's cornflakes, you pay in rupees, right? But actually, if you convert that rupees, it's pretty much the same price as what it's retailing in the UK or in the USA. So they are, factoring that in already. So what difference does it make if you then start charging one credit around the globe? Because it's the same price, right? So that's what it is. So manufacturers will actually, or, manufacturer producers, whatever you call them, they're all going to price things in a particular way where it's universal across the globe. That's why I think there's going to be a universal credit system, right, that works alongside the universal basic income, and that's going to be the new currency. And that all of this is playing hand in hand. I mean, you can see it. It's unfolding right in front of you, this digitization, right? So understand this, right? It's happening right now, right in front of us, unfolding right now. So I know in the past we've talked about, or even now we talk about cash is king. Don't think so. I don't think cash is going to be king. Now, cash will be replaced. right? Because all it takes is one day for them to wake up and say, right, okay, no more paper money, no more plastic money, none of that business, no more cash. What are you going to do? Nothing. What can you do as a member of public? Nothing. You have 10 days to come and deposit this and convert it to your credits. What are you going to do? Absolutely nothing, because you have no power. If they say this is money, then this is money. If they say some piece of napkin, tissue, whatever is a piece of is money, is money. So you have to understand this. So that's going to happen. But when that happens, we need some form of a cash. And there's always going to be some form of a cash. That's where cryptocurrency comes in. I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatnot, they will be the equivalent of cash at those times. So what does it take, or what will happen if the dollar disappears or whatever? They're doing a great job already. They are printing so much money off the books. It's not accounted for. That when that fund comes back into circulation, it's dropping the value of the dollar already. So don't worry too much about that. All you need to worry about is what's the next thing to hold. Because when that collapses, something else will recover. Something else will take over. Now, it's hard, it's difficult, right? As I mentioned earlier on, I'll come back to this. So it's hard and it's difficult to pick up on one single currency and say that's going to be it, or digital yuan, or Chinese yuan, that's it. No, China might not succeed. I'm not going to bet on China, but as a crypto guy and a decentralized demon, right? I would definitely be looking at something decentralized, because that would be equivalent to cash, but also a safety net. There's a few things that's going to happen. For example, tomorrow, all of a sudden, if the dollar collapses, one BTC could be worth $1 million. That's because it collapsed. You understand? That's because it collapsed. But when the dollar does collapse, other currencies around the globe will also collapse, because a lot of currencies are pegged in the foreign exchange system, right? So they're kind of pegged to the dollar. So everything's getting valued in dollars, right? That's the common denominator. So I wouldn't be looking at cash. I'll be looking at crypto. And even if it goes to $1 million, it doesn't make a difference, right? For me, it doesn't make a difference. What makes the biggest difference is how much you hold, right? 10%, 20% of a Bitcoin, one Bitcoin, if you can, great, right? Those of you who are new, even if you can buy 1%, believe me, it's still going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it because when something big happens, when the market collapses, when US dollars completely lose itself, right? Goes to zero, for example, you see this spike in BTC. And then you'd have an opportunity to actually sell. Now, whether you sell into another crypto or whatever, doesn't matter, you sell, right? Or whether you sell in your new credit system, right? You'll be able to accumulate a little bit more. That's what it is. So financially, right? And this is not financial advice, but I think financially, if the dollar is to collapse, then a lot of people are going to become very wealthy very, very fast. All right? Very, very fast. Even now, if you look at the crypto market, right? And we're moving to the crypto segment right now. If you move into the crypto market, if you look at that right now, you'll notice how there's $80 million or $80 billion worth of USDT sitting there. We didn't have that. During the bear market, we didn't have that. Right? We did not have a surplus of USDT. We had less. We had like 60 or something, right? So $20 billion is more. That's because people are dumping and buying other assets, other crypto right now, altcoins, main coins, whatever you call them, right? That's what they're buying because they see the pumps coming in. Now, you notice the pumps dying off when you see the reserve of the USDT or USDC, whatever you call it, right? All of them combined start to drop, because that means people are now buying those coins as a holding coin, not the cryptocurrency. So that's what we'll see. So I've kind of done this kind of crazy maths, and I've looked at the market, and I don't like to put dates out, but I'm going to put a date out here right now. I think if we are going to see any significant retracement or anything big right now, we would expect it around the 18th to the 19th of November. It's pretty crazy, right? But Yeah, I can tell you. I think that's when we should expect something to happen. And that's just basically the charts talking to me, right? The RSI talking to me. So I've based it on that. So far, I'm seeing the volatility has calmed down on the daily, especially on the BTC. The volatility has definitely calmed down, and we're now showing signs for another pump up, so another leg up, right? And this leg could take us to 36, 37K, maybe even 40K, maybe even 40K. But what we need to understand is after we go past this 37K, we really don't have much of a resistance until 48K. Yes, we have some resistance. Yes, we're going to have to make these daily leg up. Like, we have to go up and create a support and move up and create a support. So each candle needs to support the previous candle, right? Even if we go weekly, each week has to support the previous week in order for us to move forward. That's what we're looking for right now. But I don't see anything on the charts right now showing anything major until the 18th or the 19th of November. So pretty crazy, pretty bold of me to say this, but there's a reason why I'm saying this. I don't need to explain it to anybody. If it comes true, it comes true. If it doesn't, who cares, right? End of the day, we're in a bull market. Let's enjoy it. Enjoy the pumps. That's all I'm going to say. Now, there are some other coins I've been looking at. It's Ethereum. Now, one of the brothers, he asked, why isn't Ethereum moving? Why isn't Ethereum moving? What's Ethereum doing? Well, I've mentioned this on the previous video. Ethereum is lagging, and Ethereum is actually kind of dangerous for us right now. If Ethereum does not go past the $2,142 level, this is the resistance level. If it does not go above this significant resistance level, then we are going to be in this danger zone because we're unpredictable. We don't know what we're going to do. Can we get to that, or are we going to get rejected before this? So far, BTC is leading. So far, all other altcoins, majority of them at least, are leading the market. We're seeing daily pumps of 5%, 6%, 7%, 10%. I'm not going to talk about the ones that are doing 80, 90, 100%. Those are pump and dumps. I'm not bothered about those. But we're looking at the major cryptocurrencies, the major market shareholders, right? I'm talking about coins worth $1 billion in the market caps, worth $1 billion, if not more, doing a 5 to 10%, 15% pump every single day. I mean, not every single day. Say, for example, we do 10% today, it might dump 5% tomorrow, but it's fine, right? I've actually suggested to a few people, I said, why don't you just pick one of them and just kind of trade it? Just when it goes up 10%, sell it, then buy it again, buy the dip, and do that, right? You can change some money this way. So the market's giving opportunities, take that, but at the same time, be cautious, right? Be cautious. Right now, Ethereum is the only one that I can see that's kind of dangerous for the market. Everything else is leading, which is good. Usually when BTC does lead, there is a time where BTC has to stop, right? Now, BTC could stop at 37K, BTC could stop at 40K, maybe 45K, maybe 48K. We don't know. But when it does, that's when we need to watch and observe if Ethereum, if the money is filtering down to Ethereum and Ethereum is also pumping, right? If Ethereum still pumps at that particular time, market is still on, we're still on a bull run, don't worry about it, nothing to panic. However, if Ethereum also dumps before reaching its resistance level, then be worried, because that means we could come back for a major correction, and then this could last for another couple of months, so it will be bearish. I wouldn't say bear market. We're not going to go back to 10K, none of that business, right? We might see a major correction. So what's 20-30% right now? What's 50% right now? Right? 50% right now is still above the cycle low. Think about that, right? So even if we get a 50% correction, it's still above the cycle low. We're still okay, right? Because it's still like what, 18K, 17.5, 18K. Well, market low was 15 something, right? So we're still okay. Don't worry about that. So don't panic. We're not going to be in a bear market all of a sudden. No, this is not a bear market. Understand this, right? So that's what I'm seeing anyway. This is the kind of stuff I'm seeing. But I hope, look, what I've said about the dollar, this is purely theoretical, right? This is not factual. I'm not a dollar expert or anything like this. I'm not a money expert. But it's just kind of what I feel and the little theory that I have, that I think that the dollar, USA, right? Federal Reserve, the war machine, they're destroying the dollar themselves, right? Dollar will vanish sooner than most people think, and it's their own creation. And they also have a solution to this, but the solution to this is a lot bigger, and it's a lot more universal than what we have currently. Because currently, when you have 181 or 82 countries right now with their own currencies, some of them actually do share US dollars and this and that, or euros and whatnot. But the point is when you have a lot of these currencies, it gets confusing. But remember what I said, when you have manufacturers and producers charging the equivalent of whatever the retail price is in every country, then you already notice that actually one currency works. And that's probably the solution. One currency does work. So for any currency to survive, or any kind of a new system to survive, we need a universal system. That's one. And we also need global peace. And for global peace means we can't have a global war machine, right? We cannot have a global war machine because it's problematic. And the solution, a lot of people might ask, oh, well, how do you get rid of the global war machine? Well, I don't really know how you get rid of it, but what I can think of is weapons manufacturing. Number one, stop your weapons manufacturing. Everyone come together. Global superpowers come together. You know, global G7 become the global G100 or global G200. It doesn't matter. Come together as one. Get rid of all of your weapons manufacturing. Not just promises and papers and signatories and this and that, and you know, powers change every 5 years. None of that business, right? Genuinely, I mean, the amount of metal that's probably sitting in weapons. I mean, we can build a city from it. We can build multiple cities from it. Think about that. You know, think about that, right? The amount of oil reserve for powering these global war machines. I mean, we could probably power our nations, the entire world, for another 100 years. Think about that, right? The amount of money and resources that goes into building these kind of infrastructure, or these kind of what do you call this, this whole business, right? We could, you know, use that resource to probably go and colonize the moon, the Mars. You know, think about it. We could do that probably, right? If not, come up with solutions that solve the current global problem, like climate, right? You talk about climate change, but a lot of people talk about climate change, global warming and this and that. We can resolve that. Forget the fact that the world goes through a cycle and actually has these periods where it freezes, and then these periods where it unfreezes, and then these periods where situations happen, like we've even had mass floods, right? But anyway, they're probably just mythical stories. We don't want to talk about this, right? You know, these are just stories, right? Noah's Ark and whatnot and this and that, right? But the point is imagine a world, right, where trillions and trillions of dollars, right, trillions of dollars are being pumped into research, right? How to stop global warming. Do you think we'll have global warming? I don't think so. Right? That's just the way I think about it. I don't think we'll have it. We'll probably figure out how to freeze the ice, the water in the oceans, right? Get our coastlines back. We'll probably figure that out. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's pretty crazy, but that's what we can do with these trillions and trillions of dollars. You know, we could have flying cars. Think about it. The technology, the evolution people will have. It's on another level. I mean, we haven't, look at us, we're so premature, we are so primitive. We are so primitive, right? We might as well call ourselves living in the Stone Ages. I mean, what kind of innovation have we done, right, since World War One? And I say World War One because pre-World War One, Germany was the only country innovating, moving forward, right? I mean, think about it, the stuff they did. I mean, World War II, for God's sake, right? The research done in World War One led to them building the V2 bombs in World War II, which was sent from Germany to London to bombard London. But those same V2 was responsible for taking man on the moon. Think about that. The technological advancement that they did, they took a man to the moon. Now, a lot of you guys might argue and say, was the moon landing real or fake? I beg to differ, and I'll leave it as an open argument, right? But I think they have landed, maybe not when they said they did, but the point is they have, right? The point is they can send rockets that far. Now, you might say, well, how? Well, think about it. If you look at a ballistic missile, right? Global ballistic missile, again, weapon, right? Think about it. Most of the innovations in the world, right, or the technological advancements that we've had have actually come from these weapons research, right? So we got ballistic missiles that could run at supersonic, hyper supersonic speeds, right? That kind of speed is actually enough to break through the atmospheric barriers. Think about that. If we can break through that, yes, we can travel to the moon, for example. We can, right? But at the same time, a lot of you guys might turn around and say, well, what about the Van Allen belt? Well, let's just forget about that for now, right? Let's just forget about that. We have this radiation belt. Now, the reason I'm going to say forget about that is because most of the science, 99.99999% of all science, is only based on theories. Nobody's actually been there physically to go and test the Van Allen belt. Understand this. Nobody's actually tested if the globe, Earth, is actually being held by gravity. Nobody's actually been there to test it. There is no physical science behind how to test this theory. It's based on Einstein's theory of relativity. Piece of paper. He hasn't been there. Right? So please understand this. In the future, maybe when technology advances and human beings decide to come out of this primitive mindset, right, and actually evolve into superhumans, peaceful superhumans who understand that peace is progression, right? Peace means progression. That's what they understand, right? So if we are not in peace, we cannot progress. No, that's when they will figure out whether we're actually being held by gravity, you know, and whatnot, right? So there's a lot of things, right? I don't want to go into all of this stuff because, again, it's just a theory, right? None of this is factual or anything like this. And as I said, I'm not an expert, you know, in any of this. I'm not an academic. I'm none of this. So if you have actually watched me or heard me until now, my God, you have to be as crazy as me, if not crazier, right? But other than that, guys, I hope this video was informative. I know I threw in a little bit of crypto in between, talked a little bit about the dollar, a little bit about, you know, technology as well, and what we can achieve as humanity. You know, we need to get out of this current old mindset, this archaic mindset of global dominance taking over and this and that. We don't need that. We don't need this imperial mindset. Well, I don't want to call it imperial. I want to call it Stone Age. I want to call it warmongering, ancient tribal thing, because that's what it is, tribe. You know, there's too many people around the planet are looking at too many differences, right? You know, they look at your skin as a color. That's different, right? So you're this skin, you're that skin, you're that. That doesn't mean anything, right? That doesn't mean anything. They look at what region you come from. So, oh, you're from a third world country, second world country, first world country. What the hell are you talking about? Do you even know the meaning of these? Do you even know how people actually ended up giving those taglines? The first world, second world, and third world. Do you even understand this? Well, if you don't, you better go and research that. Some of the most advanced civilizations on this planet, according to history, the history that was, you know, that we're presented with, were in the third world country. The most advanced civilizations used to be in the third world country. So go and understand what first world, second world, and third world country actually means before you make judgments. Just because people chose peace, the most advanced civilizations ended up choosing peace over power. Hence why they lost the power, because other people wanted power. I know this is a little bit of a bonus, but guys, I'm going to stop it here because I can carry on forever. Like, share, subscribe. I hope the video quality, the lighting quality was good. As I said, I'm parked up. This is in the night. Currently, the time is 11:05. And I think I've said enough, right? I hope this video doesn't get striked. I try to keep within my boundaries. I'm trying not to offend anybody. And as I said, this is all theoretical. So hope you enjoyed it. Purely entertainment, nothing more, nothing less. And this is definitely not financial advice. Do what you do, right? Right? You are control of whatever you do. But other than that, guys, like, share, subscribe. I hope you watch it to the end. I'll catch you on another one very soon. If you have watched it right to this end, then please do write in the comment doomsday, right? Doomsday, right? That's all I need to know. So doomsday under comment. That way I will know that you've watched it right to the end. Other than that, like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you on another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.